And yeah. So the first question, Gangadhar, that we have received is, which is the top question, is like, how do we start homeschooling? So as a parent, when you have to start homeschooling, what kind of mindset, what kind of preparation do we need to start this thing? Because it's a big decision, right? It's like our child's future in our hand that we have taken for, and it's not a proven concept as yet. I mean, it is proven, but people don't accept it as a proven concept. So how do we start is a very good question that we have received. So how would you answer that, Gangadhar?
Yeah, it's very simple. The first mindset that one needs to have to start homeschooling is to be in action, right? Um, there is a phase where we gather information, which is fine, okay, but that cannot go on forever. Since I have been nurturing a lot of parents, especially during this lockdown, I'm seeing that more and more information parents uh, collect about homeschooling, unschooling, the more they're getting confused. And in this modern world, that has become an unfortunate reality, right? So the first mindset is to be in the action path and not just be in the collection path, because at no one point of time will the parents have all the information required to take a decision whether to embrace homeschooling, unschooling, or a different way of education. And usually it starts with quitting school, isn't it? The path of quality education starts with the decision to pull the kids out of the current education system. So you have to be in the decision making and as well as the action taking path rather than just collecting. Now, having said that, there are two decision makers here, or rather three. So two decisions come from the parents, the wife and the husband, right? And the one is coming from the kid who is going to be homeschooled. Because please remember that the kid is getting homeschooled, not us. So the decision has to come from the kid, however young the kid is. And even in our situation, we were ready, and then the kids took another 3 months to completely embrace unschooling, and they came back and told us that okay, now we are also ready to quit school, right? And that's when the complete ownership happens. Otherwise we are also in a guilt, and that like, oh, did I just pull the kid out without knowing their future, right? And the last thing about how to start is stop feeling guilty about making wrong decisions, because many people are having progressive minds, but what is happening is the world around them doesn't allow their progressive thought to become reality in their own life. So somebody comes and says, because here in India, I won't talk about rest of the world because I don't know about the homeschooling in the rest of the world. And also homeschooling is a misnomer. We will have to use a better name, because homeschooling, the moment you say homeschooling, people think it is education at home,
Yeah.
and it is following a curriculum in home, and they also conveniently assume that the beginners I'm talking about, that the teachers are the only, I mean, the parents are the only teachers, and it happens in the four walls of a house. If any of these things are true, it's a disaster. School is better than this kind of a homeschooling, right? So, yeah, and you know it, Neetu, the way you are doing it is so nice. Even now, you told me that your kids are bored and you just allowed them to be bored.
Yeah,
So,
I
what
think
I,
it's good to be bored, because whenever my daughter is bored, she would keep looking at a tree and she would write a poem on it. So I'm fine by that. I want her to be bored,
right,
to be
so nice,
honest.
yeah,
Right. So
yeah,
one more thing I would like to add, Gangadhar, as a parent, when we start homeschooling, I mean, normally as parents, we think that we are gods, to our child. So we will take all the decision. Whatever we do, that is that is right for our children. But we don't give a thought to, what our children want, because we think that they're too small to take, their decisions, and they don't know what they want, and we know it all. So possibly, we come out of that zone and also start treating our children like, human beings, and not try to be God. So yeah, that's my addition to how to start.
Yeah, definitely. That mindset helps so much actually. That like we don't think that we know it all.
Right. And then how do we work on ourselves as parents, when we have to homeschool? That was also a question, because parents themselves are not prepared, and they don't know what actions to take. Okay, I want to homeschool. I don't like school, so I want to homeschool. But what actions do I need to take, and how do I work on myself? How do I come out of that fear of missing out, that my child will not be going to school and they would miss out on a lot of things. So I mean, how do we prepare mentally ourselves for that?
Yeah, very, very good question. And I think uh, there is a lot of emphasis that needs to be given on the kind of transformation that needs to happen in the parents' thinking and actions. Because homeschooling is not just one decision about pulling the kids out of school. Okay, it's usually it means a lifestyle change for the entire family. And it takes, after some time we realize that "Arey, it's not going to happen that I just remove this portion, I would fix only the education part, but I'm going to keep doing whatever I'm going to keep doing and then going to make it work." It doesn't happen like that. So what are those things? If you ask, I will answer it in two ways. One in the little bit on the spiritual side, and one on the real action in on the more practical way, because not everybody gets the spiritual way of understanding it. So the spiritual way of looking at this is the best education that anybody can give to the kid is being a good human being yourself, right? Because the kid is looking at you, looking up to you sometimes, looking down at you, looking equally to you, isn't it? And if you live a good life, right, your morning to evening, you are living the life that you are supposed to live. That is the biggest education that you can give to your kid. But that many of us are not able to do. For example, before quitting my own job, today I used to look at my job as like, okay, just another thing. It's not that I would get up and then go and say, wow, today I'm going to do something new, right? So if I keep living that life and my kid, whatever you give, whatever kind of education, inspirational videos, YouTube, and all that you show, the kid sees you and what you do reflects in their life. Now, coming to the more practical aspects, like what is the first step or the few steps that I need to take? First is your spouse. Whoever is, whichever family wanting to homeschool, your first circle of people needs to be taken into confidence, right? And that is one of the most important thing. And in that, speaking to your spouse and getting their information on what they think about it and all that, because just taking the kid out of school is going to create a huge amount of anxiety, right? So the people near you who are day to day, they have to be taken into confidence, and you should know why exactly you are embracing homeschooling, right? So,
Absolutely,
Mary
yeah.
Bagal, yeah, exactly, right. So, Neetu, why don't you tell how you actually went about deciding on that? Because your post, just a few lines went viral, right? Because people connected to it. Why don't you tell about that?
Yeah, so actually, online classes started. I have been, like you said, people do a lot of research. I have also been researching for almost 2 years for homeschooling, because I also understand, I'm 38, right? So I realized about my strengths at the age of 35, and what I want to do in life, and what, will make me happy. So I was like, I mean, I don't want my kids to go through that same thing that I have been through, that same school, college, and being in stress forever, and working in stressful jobs, and finally I quit. I quit in 2012, because it was getting really difficult for me to carry on like that. And I wanted the same for my kids, that but not at the age of 35, that they are aware of themselves, they know about their strengths and weaknesses. So it went on for 2 years, thinking that, okay, I want to homeschool my child, but obviously I never got the courage. But once pandemic hit, and school started online classes, my daughter just couldn't take it. She wasn't able to keep pace with the class. And one day, like, I spoke to my husband that if she's not liking it, why are we letting her do it? She's just in grade 2, so let's ask her if she wants to do the school or not. And maybe we can homeschool. But I was a part of her community at that time, and I was talking to them, like, very often, that how they homeschool. And I was monitoring them for a very long time, that how these parents are homeschooling, what is their mindset. And when we asked my daughter, she readily agreed. She was like, okay, I don't want to do school. I mean, she was so happy when we asked them, and I mean, maybe she was just waiting for that question. So that's how we started homeschooling. And my son didn't want to homeschool. He was like, no, I will miss my friends, I will miss out on my syllabus and all that. So he didn't agree to it. So, but after 3-4 months, he also wanted to get homeschooled because he was seeing that, how his sister is so happy. She doesn't have to do online classes, and, she's running around and happy all the day, no studies, and she can learn whenever she wants, pick up books whenever she wants to, and, read. So he also started that. But then again, this year, because all his friends were going back to school, he also wanted to go back. So we have put him back into school. So that was again his decision. It was not ours. So that's our homeschooling journey. And my daughter still doesn't want to go. She never wants to go back. So she's still being homeschooled. So yeah, we have best of both the worlds, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. That I think that kind of real sharing of how one parent quit their regular way of thinking. Actually, many people are able to relate rather than just give some yarn about how to go about it. I think thanks.
Yes,
And
I
I
mean,
can also tell. Yeah,
yeah,
please
yeah.
go on.
What I'm saying is that, before fixing our children's life, we need to fix our lives first. We need to know what we like the most, because that keeps us happy. If we are doing things that makes us happy, that keeps us happy, and if it keeps everybody around you happy, and if your child is picking up on that, obviously they would also know that this is the most important thing, that you have to be happy, because it's one life, right? And you should be doing things. It's okay to earn less. It's okay to have a low standard of living, but it's not okay to be not enjoying your day and not being happy about it. So my husband still is stuck in a job that he doesn't like, but I can't fix that. He needs to fix that. Right?
True, true,
So
true.
yeah, so and okay, so coming to my third question, Gangadhar, uh, parents have this thing, that okay, if I homeschool, what if it is a mistake? What happens, if it doesn't work out, and how do we cope up with that? Like in my case, my son went back to school, so he didn't have to miss a year because the school was really insisting on getting a transfer certificate, but we did not have a transfer certificate for grade 6. So we just put our foot down. I said no. He wants to go back to grade 7. He has studied. If you want, you take his tests. Otherwise, we'll look for another school. So he went back to, so he was in grade 6 last year and he got back into grade 7. So a lot of parents have this anxiety. What if homeschooling doesn't work out? So, and if it is a mistake, so what do we do about it? I mean, how do we prepare ourselves for that?
All right. So the basic, let me first answer it directly. So if most of the homeschoolers, the parents that I have met in my network and the kids that I have spoken to, what they say is, Uncle, I get to know about whether I want to go to school and then pursue this 10th, 12th and go to a job when I am around 7th grade or 8th grade time. This is what a homeschooling kid has told me who's right now in a university, right? And they say that by 7th standard or 8th standard, when we know that by that age, what we do is if we decide that we want to go into the mainstream again, right? This is when the kid decides that they want to go into mainstream. What they
Right.
do is, since it's their decision, they put 500 times more effort than what happens when we put them back to school. That is number one to understand, right? So the salt and pepper that we need to add and delete into their lives has to be minimal. So let me come back to the question again. So this kid says that by 7th or 8th standard, I was able to read everything from first grade to 7th grade in about 8 to 9 months. Okay, let's say that some other kid is not able to cope up, and he says, for that kid also, I will tell you what will happen. Right? Since they decided to go back to mainstream, so from 7th grade to 10th grade, that is 7, 8, 9, 10, or let's say even they decided in the age of 8th grade, 8, 9, 10, we have 3 years to catch up with the regular schooling. And as per, let's take NIOS, there is a National Institute of Open Schooling. Many people don't know that the certificate given by them are valid in India and outside India, both for higher education as well as for job, right? You can apply with that certificate, and that is the only certificate which comes directly from the government. Even CBSE does not come directly from the government, right? It comes from central government. It is a very authentic certificate. It's not a diluted version of anything. Now, if you want to go back to NIOS and then do your 10th grade, let's say that you didn't do anything and suddenly you want to write 10th grade. It is possible to do. You don't need TC of 7th, 8th, 9th, right? And all that is required as a part of NIOS is also available on their website. I can share the website details later.
Self-declaration.
Yeah, you just need to tell declaration that my child has studied enough for 10th grade and my child is 15 years of age and give proof. That's it. You can go back,
Right.
right?
So, I mean,
And
again, coming to the syllabus, number one, it is so non-futuristic right now. Pick up any curriculum for that matter. And, and my daughter, she has been following CBSE curriculum because she wanted to be connected with books. So she's already finished 2.5 grades in like last 10 months. So, I mean, I don't understand why we should, let her finish that in 2.5 years, which she could finish in 10 months. And then she's doing better. She's happy. And she's learned, I mean, she's become more confident, if you ask me honestly. Maybe it doesn't work with a lot of other people also. But with my daughter, I've seen her confidence level has really gone high because she's asking me such nerd questions. I'm not able to answer her. I mean, thank you to Google for the rescue, because I can't answer her questions anymore. So yeah, I think it's really working for us, me and my daughter. But yeah, okay, my son and because my son went back to school, so we have a very interesting conversation every day. He's like, "Oh, mom, I'm so bored. They have started online classes." So I said, "You always have the option to go back, right? I mean, if you don't want to go to school, that was your choice going to school. If you want to homeschool again, you can do that. But no, 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 I don't want to do homeschool. I get bored. I will do online classes only." So I'm like, fine. Then he will finish all his homework. He will do those stupid dance classes also, what he doesn't like. And he's happy doing that. So I'm fine by that as well.
nice, nice.
So that's the, we have like both the worlds at our home right now. But I don't have to, tell him to study. He will do it on his own because now it's his responsibility. He has
Hmm.
understood that. So I'm like, he's like, I have exams, so I have to read this. I'm like, I don't care how much you get in your exams. If you want to read, go and read. I mean, don't bother me for that. Because even if you get a zero, I don't mind. So I mean, zero pressure from our side, zero pressure.
Very nice, very nice.
So that's
Your
the thing.
kids are very blessed.
And also, Gangadhar, I wanted to talk about, that's also one of the questions that what kind of relationship, is there normally between a homeschooler and a homeschooled, as a parent and a child. So, I mean, what kind of relationship do they need to work upon, and how they make them comfortable so the child can come to you and tell them what they are thinking and what they want, because not many a times child is comfortable with coming to the parents, and which is not a good thing. But how can the parent work around so that the child feels that comfort and comes to them, uh, with their queries and with whatever questions they have in their minds.
Yeah. So I will tell you what we follow. So with Amulya and Ananya, I have 10.5-year-old twins, daughters, and we have decided that until 10 years old, we will teach them, or we will be only responsible for teaching things that the world or anybody else cannot teach them. That is ethics, humanity, honesty, respect for parents, respect for elders, respect for self, getting, being not afraid of darkness, very basic things, self-defense, eating
House
properly,
chores.
sleeping properly. Sorry, yeah, house
House
chores,
chores.
house chores, right? So you made ourselves responsible only for those, right? So we don't think that math, science, and all those things are more important than these. Maths and science can be developed at a later point also. But nowadays people are trying to teach maths even when the kid is in the home. But that's not what is important, right? We don't want devils coming out with mathematical equations. We want humane people first, right? So keeping that in mind, we do that. Then what happens is automatically when our relationship is not the teacher and student relationship, you develop a lot of bonding with them. In our case, we travel like crazy, right? So we have done some like 13,000 kilometers in 3 months, right? So during that time, we have lost the urge to teach anything about math. We see something, but we don't say. For example, they see water cycle happening right in front of their eyes in Chirapunji, right? But we don't tell them that this is water cycle. We hold back that urge because that word water cycle, what happens is it makes them feel that once they know that, oh, I know something, then they feel they're the center of the world.
but the meaning of education is to make them feel that they're nothing in this world, right? So they are still in the awe of that. Oh wow, it rains every 3 hours, 4 hours. Wow, the clouds are coming from the mountains. I've never seen like this. That has, once they finish 10 years, we also follow a bit of the Vedic way of looking at education, and we have a guru for that. So, as for that, we have to start looking at a skill, and that's when you come into picture, where you observe them nicely, right? But you don't unnecessarily teach them, right? You tell them wherever that is required, give them opportunities, give them exposure. That is fine, right? But saying that, for example, I was an engineer. So obviously my things will be like, okay, chalo, let's open this TV, let's open this. It will be like that only, isn't it? That is fine. But having an expectation that they have to do that only, or I will teach only that, no, that is going to unnecessarily create friction in your thing. So please remember, until 10 years, I'll focus more until 10 years. Uh, you won't get a second chance, and kids also will not rely on you as much as they want. They will rely on you till 10 years. Don't lose that magical time for bonding, because when you bond in that time, your teenagers, when they have the difficulties, it will pass through because you will be the person they will come. For example, I don't want to be the Google by answering everything. I like how Neetu said, if something they ask me, mostly my answer is I don't know. You go ask Google. Because today what has happened is if you say something, they have so many sources that they will go and recheck there. And then they'll come back and tell you, you told like this, but it is like this. Many of you would have actually done that. So what I have done is I want to be above that level. So I say, you go figure out whatever you want to figure out. If YouTube, if Wikipedia, if these things are not able to solve your problem, then come to me. For example, how many states are there in India? They go to YouTube and then they found one has 28, one has 27. So many states have got added, isn't it? So there are different videos in YouTube. So they come to me that saying that, Appa, no, see, all these problems are there. Which one is true? Then they see value in me. And then I just tell them one or two things. See, this happened, this happened, this happened. Now they know how to interpret YouTube in a proper way. So I would say that you have to be at that stage where they look up to you for some time at least. After that, they'll be on their own. They will not need you. They may even look down upon what you say. That's all hormonal changes in them. You can't go get out of that. For
So
example,
that's
now
happening
my
with
kids
my
are,
son actually, Gangadhar.
yeah,
I
yeah.
am already experiencing that. So today, he was like, Mom, I'm getting bored. I said, so what do you want? So, what should I do? Do whatever you want. I want to go and use the laptop, but then you will say, play with your sister because and we have guests over. So he was like, you'd say that, play with her because she's come to play with you and you will not let me use the laptop. I said, go Baba, use your laptop. So that's so he'll tell me all the stories because he wants to get his way. So kids figure it out, It's just that we have to give them that freedom that you have to figure it out for yourself.
Right.
Right. So we have some more questions coming in. What if the child is not at all interested in writing or studying? Gangadhar, would you like to answer that?
Yeah. So, can I ask the person to
Shilpa asked this question.
express their thoughts about writing? Why? Yeah. Shilpa, are you there?
Shilpa, are you there? You can ask your question.
Yeah. So,
I'll just
Shilpa, if you can either type your answer or talk also, both are fine. So I want to pick your thoughts on the writing. What is the need for writing from a kid at a certain age?
Yeah, so if in future if the kid wants to go to school,
Mm,
so the kid will have to clear the test.
mm,
So I don't know. Right now she is in the second grade. So now she is fine, happy, and doing. But she doesn't want to sit and study. But
mm,
I mean, I don't want to do unschooling. I'm homeschooling, so I don't want my kid to be like, I don't want to study. I just want to watch TV. I want to just be outside. Now there's no interaction with anybody, but she's outside, in her scooter or cycle. But she
mm,
just wants to be left alone. But this
mm,
won't be okay for very long. In future, if she says, "Mom, I'm getting bored, and please, enroll me in a school. I want to go like other kids." So
mm,
then she will have to clear a test, and that time she
mm,
has to know how to write at least.
mm,
And
mm.
Yeah, so she's not interested whether it's school or whether it's home. So how do I do things which she's interested also, like, different ways where she's really to capture her interest. But no, somehow she wants to escape from all this.
All right, I understood. So I will answer my with my experience with my kid, because she also went through these things at the same age, like what you're saying about second grade, third grade. So she one daughter I have who's like she will be a super achiever. So school obviously likes her, loves her, makes them a hero, heroine, and all that. My other daughter is slow, artistic, not autistic, artistic, and she is very creative in her own dreamland. So she never used to write, so she got branded as okay, slow kid and all that. Then while we were unschooling, it so happened that one day she listened to some song from Michael Jackson in Alexa. And then she liked it so much, she started hearing more and more songs, right? And then typical reaction will be like, okay, let them listen to Sanskrit songs. That is more, the pronunciation will come and all that. But then this kid who is very reluctant to write started writing, realizing that 420 songs are there in Michael Jackson. She started writing the lyrics of these songs, right? And no, there is no pressure from us to write or not write. Then she used to come and ask. She doesn't bother about much of the spelling. So she started asking the spelling. I said, a lot of lyrics are there on the website. You just go. This is the one with you in YouTube with lyrics, without lyrics. So I can say that now she is one of the leading experts on Michael Jackson in the whole world. No doubt about that. You ask her anything, she'll answer. That is one thing. Second is she started writing on her own because it was her decision. So I would say wait for those magical moments. You can take the horse only to the pond. You can't make the horse drink, isn't it? That's our saying from our many years of thing, right? And then the third thing, what happened is automatically one day she saw me that I'm using MS Words or something, and she realized, Appa, I am writing so much actually, but you're typing so fast. You think I can do this also for Michael Jackson? Now we have one single document which has about 120 songs of Michael Jackson, which year, everything. And you'll be surprised that she's also learning arithmetic, which she thought that she was not at all good through Michael Jackson. Anything you ask about year, she will figure out. She has in her mind the year that he died, and then she will do a plus or minus from there, and then with that she has her own way of doing arithmetic. But the thing is, my center is Michael Jackson, right? So such magics will happen. You just have to wait for it. For that, you have to be an observer. You cannot be a teacher all the time to the kid. That confuses the kid as well as irritates the kid. And your bond with the kid is gone, right? So when you're doing homeschooling, unschooling, doesn't matter, any kind of education, you will be more like watching the kid. And when you get that chance where they are showing interest, you will just hit the rod when it is hot, right? So don't worry. She will do when she wants it, she requires it, and sometimes she will require it. At that time, you need to have the patience to sit and not sort of see. I told you that day, usually the parents are like, and I'm not telling about you, Shilpa. Mostly the parents, this one will be like, see, on that day I told you, you ignored. See, now you have to write and you don't know how to write. Very disempowering, right? At that time, you should be like, oh, wow, I got an opportunity. Okay, let me sit with my kid and see what's happening, right? So this is how you can be immersive with your kid. The other way of telling that you write, it will be useful in the future and all that. We are just being an agent, that's all. Interested in making them get a job, and they usually getting a job means or go to school means write a test, 2 mark question, 4 mark question, and this is what the role we are going to play if you keep insisting that they have to write, right? I don't know if I'm making practical sense also. I know theoretically this is the right way to go, but if you have some more observations or some practical difficulties, I can answer them.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank
I
you.
think we should.
Shilpa, you have one more question. I think that also gets answered. Ma'am, share your homeschool schedule with us. It will motivate us.
Yeah, you.
So we don't teach actually. She learns on her own. So right now, with actually we are, I am thinking of having a hydroponic garden in my terrace. So working towards that. So we are, with sowing seeds and trying to germinate those seeds and seeing. So she is actually following the entire program, because every day, she would be in front of those seeds, and she would see that whether, it has germinated or not. She would water them every day. I think that's enough learning for herself, because that's the entire cycle of, how seeds are grown into a plant is going through. So I mean, we can keep doing these small things, and they can learn, pick up from that only. We don't need to sit with books and make them teach the syllabus. So that's my way of doing it. But obviously, every homeschooling family is different, and every parent is different, every child is different, and they have to figure out their sync. And it happens over some time. There's no rush. And if you will want to rush, then it becomes a problem. Then it's a disaster. The child will take its own time at their own pace. So that's how normally homeschooling works.
Very true, very true.
Right. And next question, Hiral has that, can they survive without a degree? So Changadhar would.
Absolutely. Okay, it's a very emphatic yes. And let me ask you a question. If your car or your two-wheeler needs a repair, right? And there is a mechanic sitting next to me who's got 15 years of experience but no certificate. Who will you take this to?
Yeah, right. The one with the experience.
With the experience, right? So for now, let's keep the job and the other things a little bit aside. Okay. So the thing is very clear that whoever has experience, who can get the job done, right? They will get the whatever the car or the two-wheeler, right? But also there is the question: somebody designed a car. Can this mechanic who has just worked on 15 years for various kinds of cars and two-wheelers, can he design? Absolutely not, right? He can't design. But can this gold medalist who has automotive engineering degree, can he design? Perhaps yes, but just the degree is not sufficient. Would you agree with that?
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah, absolutely.
The question that we need to answer is, on this earth, how many people are designing cars? Okay, how many are really designing the cars, and how many do we need like that? Right? I don't know the answer to that, and I don't care also. So usually, and I'll tell you with a lot of conviction, that people who go behind certificates are the ones, including me when I did my engineering, is where we don't know anything about engineering, but we want to tell the world that I have done my engineering and I know something. That is why I used to use the certificate. I need this. Oh, I did from the second best college in this one. My engineering rank was 192 in the whole state. I need all that just to ensure that nobody can ask the question. And I get the easy path. Now, without degree, what can happen? A lot can happen. So what happens, number one, is you give so much when the kids are not going to school, and whatever kind of education they do, you're giving them so much time to explore themselves and then fail in life. And failure is a bigger teacher than success. Because in the normal education system, they're encouraged to get first rank, second rank, and always clapping. Okay, first aa gaya to clapping, second aa gaya to clapping, right? And when they fail, when they fall down, is when they actually learn and see that, okay, what is that went wrong, right? It takes time. It's an evolutionary process, right? So these kids who unschool, homeschool, or who don't do that 8 hours of normal schooling, they have so much time that they fail a lot, and then they realize who they are. They're able to take a lot more competition, a lot more pressure than the kids who were just running, not knowing where they are going. Right. You have to make it true in their life. Okay. Otherwise, it won't happen true. As a parent, you have to enable it. Now, when these conditions are true, then what happens is your kid is far more useful to the society than just earning their own livelihood. Because they never read one paragraph saying that, "Arey, ye to important question hai, mark karna hi padega, 2 marks ke liye aayega, and this will come for 4 marks, that will come for 8 marks."
And what will we do with that? To make pickles.
Right. So, and I can give you examples of people, a second generation unschooling family. The daughter is 30 years, never went to school. and she's an excellent what do you say expert in Sanskrit, that people who want to do MTech and PhD in Sanskrit come and get, and they take their her help. And I met her,
Right.
and her father married his wife, saying that only if you allow our kids not to go to school, only I will marry you. This happened 30 years ago.
Gangadhar, just
Look
to
at them.
tell you that we will be finishing this call in less than a minute. So if we want to join back, we can do that, or we can, take these questions to the WhatsApp group as well. So I think, yeah, we can take the question in the WhatsApp group, because, this is such a long conversation that we cannot wrap it up within 40 minutes. And I mean, me and Gangadhar, we are both available on all the groups mostly, and happy to answer. I mean, we can take your calls, we can answer. I mean, at least I can tell for myself that I can take your calls, and I can support in whatever way we can support a homeschooler to homeschooler. And happy to answer any question.